Hi, it's Timothy Miller with DotsCast with Greg Miller.
My little brother here.
Yep, same brothers from the same mother, but different fathers. It
was weird.
Complicated.
Mom was a whore.
Always has been, always will be.
Always will be.
How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I am really good. I'm enjoying my time at RTX. How are you enjoying your time?
I love RTX. RTX is blowing my mind. It's so much fun.
It is. You have a lot of experience with Rooster Teeth people, like you did.
Yeah, this is my first RTX, but I have a lot of experience with the Rooster Teeth crew, as we call them. That's what we call them officially. But yeah, I mean, like, I have a lot of experience with panels and cons, right?
Yeah.
Like, you figure I'm on a trek right now of having to, E3, VidCon, this, coming up on Comic-Con, going back to PAX and stuff, and, like, this is one of those conventions that's just on another level. You know what I mean? Because everyone's here for one thing, and that's awesome.
I think that's part of the reason, like, it's such a positive experience of Rooster Teeth. I think part of the reason is because we're all here for Rooster Teeth.
Exactly,
like,
You all, like, it's one of those things I was trying to explain it to Adam over at the Destiny thing, right? Of just like IGN could do something like this, right? But it would quickly become basically what PAX is, where you'd be coming for the exhibitors and to be around other nerds and, enjoy stuff like that. But, like, it's not like every podcast, like Beyond would have a great panel, right? But then maybe NBC wouldn't. Like, there wouldn't be as much of a, you know what I mean? Like, here, if it's a Rooster Teeth property, everyone knows it and everyone loves it, and it's awesome.
It's because they, in every way, they grab, like, their crowd. It's just they always know at least a little bit of what they need and everything to just grab whoever's already won. Like, a lot of people who watch Rivers Blue were grabbed by Ruby because they've seen Monty Hume, conduct all these
sure.
fight scenes.
Well, it's almost like one of those things. It's like, the old the NES games with the Nintendo seal of quality, right? If it's coming from Rooster Teeth, you know that it's going to be good, and you know these people, and you know the personalities, and it all works.
Mm-hmm. I struck my thought, which is just terrible. An interview.
It happens to me all the time. Don't worry about it.
No, I'm very worried about it. That means one day it's going to continue happening to me, and I'm just going to be sad about it. Just kidding. So, what do you do? Because you do. I know what you do. And
what would you say you do here?
Yeah. Well, I know you've got all these YouTube things.
Sure.
And you've got the IGN stuff and the Podcast Beyond, but you tell me what you do.
I tell everyone that I'm an internet personality. When somebody asks me what do I do, I say I'm an internet personality. And then if they want more, I guess nowadays I'm a professional host, and that's my title at IGN. And, when I go home, I do the youtube.com/GameOverGreggy stuff, where I host a number of shows there with my friends and coworkers and stuff, and we're trying to experiment and do different things, and put out different shows. Like, we're a microcosm after hours of Rooster Teeth, right? Like, we're trying to be like them in a way, right? Or we're making all these different shows, and it's the same thing where if something goes up on our YouTube channel, then it's like approved by us, and we think it's cool, and we think you'd think it's cool. So the easiest way is that I'm a host, but that goes from live events to video on demand to panels and stuff like that to live streams to podcasts to it just starts spreading out.
Now, with all that stuff, you probably have a favorite. So what's your favorite thing to do out of
See, I don't know if I do, because it's and I know that sounds like such a cop out, but everything has a different slant to it, and that's what keeps me excited to keep doing it all. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where we'll have, like, Aisha Tyler on the Game Over Greggy show, right? And that's awesome. For some reason, to have Aisha Tyler in my spare bedroom at my house petting my dog is a weird thing that I never thought would happen. But to say anything about that, right, would neglect the 7.5 years of Podcast Beyond that I've built. I've been there from episode 1, and so it's all different in a way. Like, like, I always talk about PAX, right? And, like, when I was a kid, I remember Faith being explained to me as a cup, right? And when you're a kid, the cup's very small, so it's easy to fill it. And then as you get older, the cup gets bigger, so Faith is a little bit harder to keep, right? Because, like, different things come up. And so I always talk about that with our passion. And, it's easy when, you look at comments on something, right? And they're all like, oh, you fucking fat idiot, you suck, and I hope you die. And you're like, it rolls off my back, but you do lose sight of sometimes, like, what you're doing and why you're doing it, right? And so when we get to go to something like PAX or have a live Podcast Beyond, and it's like hundreds of people who are just like, I love everything you do, and it's like, oh, right, these people are out there, you know what I mean? And, like, RTX is great for that too, in the way of that everyone can come together and find that, and that's why I go to so many cons, I think, is that I like to be around people who enjoy our content and consume it and want to be part of it. And so I think it's easy to see, I'm on Twitter so much, right? And so when I put up a YouTube video, I see all people there like, I love this video, and I shared it, and this, that, and the other. And then Beyond is a completely different thing, right? Beyond is a very solitary thing. You download it to your phone, then you go live your life, and we're a part of it, and we love that. But it's like a one-sided conversation that I don't think many people are motivated to then come back to the article and comment. Or you even drop me a line about something. It's when they see me, they're like, oh, it was hilarious that time The Undertaker punched through the wall. I'm like, yeah.
So it's what you talk about it all the time on IGN, but the vocal minority.
Right.
That's what you say. It's like people love to look at IGN stuff.
Yeah.
But most of them are probably not going to comment. The ones who do probably going to be jerks.
Yeah. I always talk about it like, I always compare it to Yelp. I'm a bad Yelper. I only really Yelp anything or review Yelp stuff. This is the old thing. I used to go on Yelp and I would only be reviewing when I was mad, when something had happened. You know what I mean? Like being upset motivates you to speak out. Whereas being happy and content, you're just like, I'm happy and content. This was a great pizza. I'm going to move on with my life. You know what I mean? That's how articles are and videos are too. Like, oh man, this episode of Up at Noon was great. Bam, I'm gone. I'm out. You know what I mean? Whereas with other things, when you're mad, when you don't like the Up at Noon joke, you're more prone to go in the comments. You're like, that joke sucked, and you need to know because I want it. You know what I mean? There's different things like that. Yeah. So yeah. But what I was talking about, right, is like, especially with IGN, is that we have the back end numbers, right? So it's like, well, 100,000 people watched this video, and there's 200 comments on it, and there's 12 negative comments. So like, you are statistically insignificant, and I don't have to care, that you don't like my teeth.
Well, good.
Yeah.
I don't think you should.
I don't. I won't.
Okay, so I'm a big Beyond fan.
Hell yeah.
What's been your favorite Beyond thing so far? Because you guys do a lot.
Yeah, 7.5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be Podcast Beyond 300, right? Like, I mean, like, I just teared up talking about it. Like, just a mention of it, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that was that culmination of, like, again, like, I don't know, we take for granted how big that community is, you know what I mean? And that's another thing, we get to look at the numbers, right? And it's like, oh, there's been 1 million downloads in 2 months, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's right, that's the normal stat. And it's like, that's insane, you know what I mean? Because again, it's not like I have 1 million people following me on Twitter, tweeting at me, or, you know what I mean? Like, you lose sight of that, and then when we do something like, when I come back this week, we're doing the live call-in show for 350, and for 300 to have people in there from all around the world, to to have, like, when I asked Shuhei, like, I DM'd him, like, hey, do you want to come to Beyond 300? Like, yes. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't even like a hesitation. Yes, I'll make it work. Like, that's crazy that we have that kind of reach and that kind of community, and like that was like so touching. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like the head of Sony.
Right. Yeah. President of Sony World West Studios.
Yeah. Loves you guys.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal in itself.
Sure.
I feel like it really shows the quality, and also just how big your community reaches.
Right.
PlayStation Beyond.
Yeah.
Itself. A lot of people listen to it. Seen people just in huge Microsoft shirts and stuff, and whenever you came out on stage for the Destiny thing, they all yelled Beyond. It's like everyone loves podcast Beyond.
Yeah, I had to explain it to Nick from the Game Over Greggy show. His wife was running around this last night, and so was Kara from Rooster Teeth, and they were asking me questions about it. And Kara was like, yeah, like, why? She was like, wanting to know if anybody ever extends it. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, it's always Beyond. And I'm like, oh, well, that comes from, like, the whole reference, right, is, like, somebody mentions it, like, blah, 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 Beyond this, and then we end the podcast, go Beyond, and we try to shove it in, this reference, you know what I mean? She's like, oh, okay, you know what I mean?
Well, I love Beyond.
Well, thank you so much.
But, back to kind of IGN.
Yeah.
And did you expect to be kind of pushing video so much whenever you first started?
Oh, God, no. No. I mean, like, I always talk about it, like, when I first started 7.5 years ago, right, like, the two things I didn't expect were the fame and the travel. Like, you know what I mean? Like, none of that dawned on me. Like, oh, I want to read EGM, and they're talking about TGS. They went to Tokyo. You know what I mean? I never thought that through. And then, when I got there, IGN had just started to, like, I always talk about, like, the reason I'm lucky enough to be a big deal for the site or whatever, or on the internet, is that I got there just as this, like, perfect storm started, right? In the way that I got there, and the old guard was starting to burn out. You know what I mean? Your Dunhams, your Ropers, right? They'd been there forever, and they weren't ready, like, really wanting to push in a new frontier kind of way of video. Craig Harris always writes about this. And Damon and I got there, and we're like, we'll do GameScoop. Yeah, we'll do this. You know what I mean? And, like, they were like, oh, okay, cool, and we'll put you on camera and do this. And, like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, and we were just so gung-ho to do it that no one else was really expecting it, I think, or like ready to jump on that. And, like, obviously everybody we hired from there on out did it. And then, of course, old people, Hillary and Bredvig, they all got on with the Xbox Minute and stuff. But there was a moment last year at San Diego Comic-Con where Damon and I were doing the live show there, and I think it was like we had interviewed Rachel Bielson that day, and then Aaron Eckert, and like all these like movie stars, you know what I mean? And I forget who it was when they left. Oh, I think it might have been Noah Wiley. Noah Wiley walked off from the stage, and Damon turns to me, and he's just like, do you remember when you were hired to write about video games? Yeah. And it's like, yeah, it happened all so gradually and naturally that, like, it's mind-boggling right now to think that, like, I was hired as an editor with no expectation of video, and we weren't YouTubing, and you know what I mean? Like, all this weird stuff.
It's really mind-boggling. Oh, interesting to me, just because you're so good at it now. Like, people like you, and like you said, you didn't expect the fame, but you definitely got the fame.
Yeah.
People really, I respect and admire you as a writer and everything you do with IGN, and you just have huge fans between Podcast Beyond, and even the Game of Greggy show has a good following.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with Conversation Column whenever it first came out.
Oh, good.
I thought it was so funny.
Spoiler alert, this hasn't gone live yet, so don't go tweeting it yet, because I have a tweet scheduled for today. There'll be a new episode of Conversation with Colin tomorrow.
I'm going to watch it.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, I forced some of those people,
all these people
behind
off
the camera
camera
to watch it. Up at Noon, I think it's just a fantastic show.
Oh, thank you.
I love the...
How do you feel about us switching to this panel thing?
Have you seen this? I don't think I've seen it yet.
The last 2 episodes, we switched off. We're not doing the monologue, or I guess 3 episodes. We're not doing the monologue anymore. We're doing a panel it's anchored every week with me, Nick, and Brian, and then we get into guests every so often, and we talk about the news, like a podcast.
I like my favorite thing about Podcast Beyond is the conversation.
Right.
The personalities involved are very good. I love the personalities you just mentioned, so it sounds like I'll like it a lot.
All right, good. Yeah, we were struggling with it because it was, we're not professional comedy writers, and so it was getting to be like just too much, and it takes up too much time to plan it, and then people start, we talk about VPH, views per man hour or whatever, and you start worrying about like, are we putting too much into the show and it's not giving it back? So like, we thought this was a way to keep going and maintain what we do and hopefully be happy. And so far, so good. People seem all right with it.
I think as they get more used to it, they'll probably like it more.
I mean, that's the whole thing, right? Yeah. Anytime you change anything on the internet, people get mad.
I remember whenever GameScoop became a video podcast.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. They were ready to burn down IGN.
Yeah, and now I don't see really anyone complaining about it anymore, but I think, like, up to, like, a year after it happened, still, it was like, it's not as good ever since it's become video.
Yeah, and to Damon's credit especially, because obviously he's the shepherd of that show and does everything for it, like, he took that to heart, you know what I mean? And that's why we started filming them all at once, so that there is a continuity between it, because it was before, like, all right, everybody get together, do 15 minutes, all right, break up, and then a day later do 15, like, so now when you put it into an hour-long format there, you do have that continuity of me making fun of Aransky's baby the whole time and then getting out.
Well, I download GameScoop and Podcast Beyond every week, so I think both of you are doing fantastic jobs.
Yeah, thanks.
So, I like your Patillo show.
Thank you.
Shirt.
You can get your own at districtlines.com/GameOverGreggy.
Awesome. What else would you like to plant? Is there anything else you'd like people to look at for you?
Do that. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook and all that. I'm GameOverGreggy there. Please subscribe on YouTube. Like, share. Do all that. Go to IGN, I guess. You probably are. If you're watching this video, you probably go to IGN. But download Beyond. Give it a shot. Watch Up at Noon.
Here's one last question. Mm-hmm. What do you think of the Reese's Oreo?
Oh, the Reese's Oreo? I gave it a 9.5 on the Oreo scale. I was not expecting it to be good. Every time there's these knockoff things, you never know what you're getting, and that motherfucker tastes like a Reese's peanut butter cup. I could not believe it. I was blown away. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There's another Oreo Shuhei Yoshida gave you. I can't remember what it's called. The maca lattes. How did you like that? I have not. Those have not been filmed yet. See, the problem was like. This is literally like every cop movie, right? Where I'm like, I've retired. Like, I'm not going to do Oreos anymore, and then they pull me back in. And so, like, we got the Shuhei Oreos, and then we've been in such a rush to with all the cons that we're like, all right, we're going to film it, this night. And then we did last week's, whatever. One of the Game Over Greggy shows, we did one of the segments with what's in the box. Somebody sent us a box, and we opened it up. And then they had put the watermelon Oreos in there, along with the fruit punch Oreos, which I had been dodging. I was like, I'm not going to review those. Like, I don't have to worry about it. Exactly. And so I pulled them out on camera. I'm like, well, now I'm doing these two. And then it's like, well, I'm not. But we were going to film the Shuhei one that night. And I'm like, I'm not going to now do this. We have to do them all at once. And then it was like, well, what else are we missing? I'm like, well, I'm missing limeade and banana split. And I'm like, oh, here we go. It's happening again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going back down this road. Every time you get out, I can't get out. Back in. I know. What's your least favorite Oreo then, so far? Because I'm going to be honest, it's probably going to be fruit punch. Oh, yeah. That and watermelon, I hear from everybody, are just disgusting. So, I don't know. What's the last one we ever scored? I remember the straight peanut butter one didn't go well. I remember that one got a bad review. The Cakesters. The Cakesters were terrible. Remember those things? Yeah, no. This is kind of fun. My girlfriend doesn't like video games at all. Yeah. But she loves Oreos. They're her favorite snack. Yeah. And she agrees with most of your reviews, but she was in love with the Cakesters, and she thought they were awesome. Yeah, she thought they were really good. You got a dumb girlfriend. I do. She's salutatorian, but stupid. Stupid. That's stupid honors college. Dumb honors college. That's what always cracks me up, and which is a weird thing and it does not apply to Rooster Teeth Expo. But when I go to PAX and I walk down the aisle,
it's literally guys grab me and go, Beyond! And then their girlfriends grab me and go, I love your Oreo reviews! And it's just like this weird, I'm hit on both things, right? Where I can, like, I'm bringing couples together.
We get closer with every Oreo review we
watch. Then I gotta get on this watermelon Oreo.
Yeah. That way she doesn't buy them.
Yeah.
I had a question in mind.
Okay.
And I lost it.
No,
it's a nightmare.
It's okay. You want to think a little bit?
Give me just.
You're doing the right thing. See, this is what you got to do. You got to vamp. You know what I mean? I'll tell you, and this is the other thing I'll tell you too. How long have you been interviewing people?
Last year was our first year.
Oh, okay. This is the fun thing that I want you to know is that when I'm on up at noon, and this happens to me, where I'm talking to somebody and then I lose the question I want, I always feel like there's this huge pregnant pause, and then I come up with it or something else to say, and I'll go back and watch the video, and it's like there's no pause. And then granted, I talk quickly, so like anytime that there's any pause in my speech pattern, I'm like, oh man, I'm bombing, I gotta fix it. But like, you can cover it. You're doing well. You can vamp around it. Being honest about it works, obviously.
Yeah, I have some ideas. Okay, so what's your favorite Oreo then?
My favorite Oreo is Berry Burst.
Berry Burst. That sounds like a weird Oreo to me.
It is. It tastes like a strawberry milkshake. It doesn't actually taste like strawberry. It tastes like pink. But it's really good. I gave it a 9.5, of course. Now, if you're a fan of the show, you know there's been a bunch of 10s. Yeah. That we gave it a 10 to the golden birthday cake Oreo, and then I had the Oreo Gasm over the marshmallow Rice Krispie one. Those both got 10s. My thing about it is that Berry Burst is a 9.5, and that's an everyday Oreo. I could eat it every day in my packed lunch, and I'd be great. Whereas, like, the Rice Krispie Treat Oreo or the birthday cake one, that's a sometimes Oreo. That's a special occasion. Yeah, exactly. You're, like, popping open champagne for that one. That's a big deal.
What champagne goes best with Oreo?
I don't know. I mean, like, whenever I go to the champagne aisle, it's like, which one's the cheapest? All right, that's the
one that goes with the Oreo.
Exactly, yeah.
What's your favorite convention you go to every year? Because you go to so many of these things. You were just talking about how you're traveling along.
Yeah. That's a tough one too, and it's another cop-out answer, right? Like, because there's no convention I don't like, and every convention is different. You know what I mean? Okay. Like, this obviously is all about one thing, which is awesome and mind-boggling, and I'm still trying to soak all that in. PAX I love because it is my chance to be with the community, right? Like our community, the video game community. E3, of course, is a monster show that's everything crazy and announcement. You're like, what are we going to talk about for the next 16 months that we learn about there, right? Which is cool. But it's industry, right? So it's nonstop work. Monday was a 12-hour live stream day for me in the pink shirt that everybody loved. And then it was, on to interviewing these people who are here with these amazing products that they've worked their entire lives on and can finally talk about, you know what I mean? And then you look at Comic-Con is now moved to us being an entertainment show, which is crazy too, like, you know what I mean? Like, I sit there and I go host Robert Kirkman's panel or South Park last year, you know what I mean? It's just like, okay, and then we bring these people over to the Hard Rock where I interview them, and it's just like, every show is different, and I love them all for different reasons.
Okay, so real quick, just one more thing that kind of has been talked about a lot recently.
Sure.
The announcement cycle of games.
Yes.
How short do you think that should be? I think 6 months, max a year is like
great. I think I'm with you on that. I think max a year probably. I think a year to 9 months is probably the sweet spot. Because I understand, but the problem is we're always coming at it from the fan perspective, right? Not the business perspective, where your shareholders need to know. You need to make sure that you're promoting it so you're making as much money as possible, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, what I look back to, and I don't know, maybe this actually is going to work out in the long run, right? The fact that Bungie came out, right? Destiny, all this stuff leaked about Destiny, and then they started talking about Destiny, and then it seemed like we talked about it forever, that when it was finally coming up to this release date, we were like, all right, what is this even about? Titanfall's really cool, and then, which was weird, right? Because I felt like they had too much talk about it. They finally took it and put the alpha out, right? Mm-hmm. And once they put the alpha out, it all flipped on its head, and everybody, on my Twitter feed that weekend was all about it and how much they loved it. And I wasn't a believer before, and now I can't wait. And it's like, okay, they did it right. You know what I mean? If I would have been telling you they were doing it wrong, right? But no, here they are, and everyone's excited. I'm excited about it. It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah, I've heard that once you actually play it, it just works. Yeah. It's very good, and you get it.
Yeah.
So I think that's it.
Okay.
You plugged your stuff.
I did.
We talked about our
plugged
stuff.
Plugged it all.
You can subscribe, like, and all those things in our YouTube place. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
I really enjoyed this interview.
Oh, thank you so much. I had fun too.
Good. Awesome.
Yeah.
Bye.